hear Dominic Pulera speak to us tonight. He's got a lot of good things to say, some insight that I think would be helpful, and you're welcome to the area. But I did want to just give you some background in terms of what he's done, what he's accomplished, and then I'll turn the floor over to him. Dominic Pulera is an author, commentator, inspirational speaker, and international business consultant. A native of Wisconsin, he was born in May 1974. Pulera is a magna cum laude graduate, 1995 of Beloit College, where he was elected to Phi Beta Kappa and earned departmental honors in history, among other honors. Internationally recognized expert on matters involving race, culture, and diversity, Dominic Pulera is the author of 3 works of serious nonfiction, which I've laid out here, and please feel free to take a look at those afterwards. The 3 works are Visible Differences, Why Race Will Matter to Americans in the 21st Century, Sharing the Dream, White Males in Multicultural America, and Green, White, and Red, The Italian-American Success Story. Pulera's next book, Good News, What is Right with America Today, should be completed in 2010. Currently, he is traveling throughout the United States on a national listening tour to learn about the good news in communities across America. Dominic J. Pulera is an experienced commenter, one who has appeared on dozens of American radio and television programs, and whose work has been covered by newspapers in a wide range of American communities. His international media exposure includes coverage in India, Italy, Canada, Pakistan, and New Zealand. Pulera's work regularly brings him into contact with top decision makers in fields such as business, religion, education, diplomacy, and politics and government. He had his first private audience with the sitting head of state at the age of 29. Dominic Pulera often delivers lectures in a variety of venues, including academic institutions throughout the world. By the age of 30, he had addressed academic audiences on each of the 6 populated continents, everywhere from Belgium to Botswana, from Iceland to India, and from Georgetown to Geneva. In addition, Pulera frequently speaks at the meetings of civic, community, and professional groups in different parts of the United States. He has addressed audiences in 47 of the 50 states. As part of his professional activities, Dominic Pulera engages in cultural diplomacy throughout the world. He seeks to promote peace and intercultural understanding through trade, cultural exchanges, and other activities. As an international business consultant, Pulera focuses on developing opportunities in global markets. To this end, he has visited such nations as Mexico, Canada, Lebanon, Indonesia, and Bangladesh in recent months. In the United States, he is working on a venture to establish information processing centers in economically depressed parts of rural America. And that's what brings him to Ironwood and the Middle Grange. So with that, I'd like to welcome Dominic Pulera.
Thank you very much, Dan. Dan is one of the great assets that we have here in the state of Michigan as we look toward the future, and we have a sense of optimism of what will be possible and what can be possible, what should be possible. The Great Recession of 2007 to 2009 is now over in all likelihood, and this welcome news gives us pause to reflect on the state of rural America. Even before the Great Depression of the 1930s, rural America was losing people, losing economic development in more than a few places, and losing political power. Generations of outmigration and changing economic dynamics have led to depopulation and the decline of such staples as mining, logging, farming, and light manufacturing in many rural American communities. At the same time, we're seeing many rural American communities also rebound and reinvent themselves through tourism, new types of industry, new types of agriculture, and other forms of economic development. Due in large part to the mines, the communities here of Iron County, Wisconsin, and Mogibig County, Michigan, boomed during much of the industrial era. However, the transition here to the information age has been a difficult one and fraught with tensions and complications as many jobs have left the area. And we look toward the future to see what jobs can be brought here, what jobs can be not only retained here, but the new types of work that will be in our area. The populations of these counties, as we all know, are disproportionately elderly, as the available jobs are too few to support the young people. As mining is no longer a staple of the local economy, some outside observers, and this is not my perspective, but some outside observers might see Iron County and Gogebic County as being doomed to a slow, sure, steady decline. Some outside observers may see Iron County and Gogebic County as having had their heydays, their glory days decades ago, and they believe that without the mines, those days will never return. I want to make it very clear, crystal clear, that my perspective is diametrically opposite to the one that I just shared. Today, the places in America that are brimming with the most opportunities, ones that require vision and creativity, and every person in this room has that vision for this area. Those places are often communities that have been left behind, the Detroits, the Pittsburghs, the Youngstowns, and yes, the Iron Counties and the Gogebic Counties of America. In a difficult economic situation, such as the one we face now, we are presented with opportunities. Opportunities to reinvent ourselves. Opportunities to change the old ways of thinking. Opportunities to envision what may be possible, what can be possible, and ultimately, what will be possible. I am a native and current resident of southern Wisconsin, one who believes strongly in the great potential of our rural areas, including Iron and Gogebic counties, of course. This week marks my 8th visit to the Gogebic Range since July of 2007. Initially, I came here as an author to research the ethnic diversity of the region. Now, I come here as an entrepreneur and prospective investor, one who sees opportunities in this region to create and sustain knowledge jobs, particularly in the realm of information processing. Here, this evening, I will discuss the reasons why I think Iron and Gogebic counties have significant potential in the coming years. I will look at both the positive indicators now as well as those dynamics that bode well for the future. Of course, my presentation is going to cover the factors that have contributed to the area's economic decline, but I will do so in a way that always highlights the positives, always returns to an optimistic view of our future. My remarks will situate events in Iron and Gogebic counties in the context of regional and national developments too. I offer a positive, multifaceted perspective on this topic, and later in my program, I will make a pledge to help promote positive news about the region throughout the Midwest. My program consists of 4 parts. Firstly, I want to look at the nature of opportunity here in Iron and Gogebic counties and explain why this topic matters to all of us in America, regardless of where we live. Secondly, I'm going to analyze my perspective, offer my perspective on the current assets, tapped and untapped alike, and the signs of progress that we see here on the Gogebic Range. Thirdly, I'll discuss why my father and I, as entrepreneurs, investors and entrepreneurs, are bullish about this region and intend to site our first information processing center in either Iron County or Gogebic County. The exact destination is unimportant because these two communities are one and the same. They are linked and they are united across the state boundary. Fourth, I'm going to describe my perspective on how we can use free media, using the limited resources that we have at our disposal, use free media to promote positive images of Iron and Gogebic counties as wonderful places to live, work, visit, and invest. And finally, I will conclude on an optimistic note as we look at the possibilities for the future. As we all know, decades ago, Iron County and Gogebic County constituted a boom area. The mining industry flourished here, bringing thousands of European immigrants to the area. The work was hard, the conditions were often tough, but thousands of individuals and their descendants enjoyed a respectable quality of life because of the mines. The salaries and benefits, as I understand them, particularly in the post-World War II era, enabled a single breadwinner to support his family in many cases. And there were many ancillary or dependent industries, as I've learned from Paul Skirtle, who's taught me much about the region. For instance, there were people who worked in the woods because the mines used considerable timber for wood in the shafts. There was once a foundry here, and there were scrap businesses that were associated with mining. The railroads were involved in the mining business. And again, as we all know, many of the mines closed on the range in the 1950s and 1960s, changing the scenario here, perhaps it seemed at the time, forever. And I'd like to quote Mr. Sturgill. He says, quote, "We were a one-industry community, and we were totally dependent on one industry, mining." And he continues, "We have never recovered from the collapse of mining," unquote. The White Pine Copper Mine, which was the last one, as I understand it, to continue in operation, closed in the mid-1990s. It flooded several years later, and it appears now the refinery will be closing next year. Now, however, even in the mining sector, there's good news. More than a few people have told me that there are high hopes for a mine opening north of Wakefield in the not-so-distant future.